What I'm going to talk to you about today is not about all my successes. What I want to talk to you about really is my failures and the things I've learned from my failures and the things that I've tried to now scope out and what I've learned over this period of time into how to successfully transition a business. I contend that you're only going to get there if this whole room as a leadership team becomes transformational leaders. I don't think you succeed unless you can transform your organization. Doesn't mean your organization is doing bad. Quite frankly, the results say you're doing well. But every business has got to transform, whether it's a bad business wanting to become good, a good business wanting to become better, or the best wanting to sustain that spot in their industry. So you're probably wondering, what qualifies me to talk about transformational leadership? Well, the short answer is that I'm a guy that's never quit. I heard that before. I heard that earlier today about not quitting, about not giving up. I've had some really tough odds against me, and I've had some really bad jobs. And those making it through those jobs, failing some instances, rebounding, but never giving up is what's really allowed me to learn and be a transformational leader, to drive success in organizations. Now, a little bit longer answer is I got some pretty humble beginnings. I'm not an Ivy League graduate. I'm not a guy that was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. My parents divorced when I was 13. My mother remarried an abusive alcoholic. I fundamentally hid out after school to graduate out of high school. I left home at 18 years old, moved into a bedroom because it was all I could afford, and worked a shift in that night as a machinist trainee from 3:30 to 12 and went to school during the day. And when I graduated from college, I was a card-carrying machinist with an AFL-CIO affiliation. And, that was a start. Everything else has been easy. After working 19 hours a day, everything else has been easy. I spent 25 years in GE, and Jack Welch is a tough bastard. I'm the only guy in the 22 years that Jack Welch led the company that made officer twice. Why do you think I made it twice? Hell, I failed the first time. I made an officer in the company in 1997. I'd been there for almost 25 years. And making an officer in GE, GE's #1 company in the world at that time. There's 150 people make it the officer. I'm a graduate of Arkansas State University. Ever heard of it? I'm not a graduate of Yale or Harvard or some Ivy League school. I went to Arkansas State University. Had this humble beginning and get all the way to the top of the echelon of the GE Corporation as an officer. Had the officership for 14 months and got canned because I didn't get to the objectives that were set before me in the business, and then GE, you answer for not getting to objectives. Your employees, the people that were on this video today, the reason that they have that loyalty to commute 6 hours a day, it's not because of their manager. The reason that they've got that loyalty and talk about Headstrong so much is their own opportunity for personal growth and challenge. And the day you quit giving that to them as leaders will be the day that you start losing those people or can't find the others that you need to change the business. So think about it. Are you and the people that work for you, are you leaders or are you managers? I really think as we talk about transformation, it involves 5 key skills that you have to think about organizationally. It's that culture of change. It'll be the first thing I talk about. It's improving or growing your esprit de corps. The communication, financial results are just a given. And they come, I think, through process and metrics, and then creating that cadre of transformational leaders that are going to help you get where you're going and are going to replace you at some point in time. Building that future for Headstrong. It sounds pretty easy. You look at those 5 things. It isn't. I've spent a lifetime trying to perfect those things, and I don't have them right yet. I keep working at them every day. So in continual change, do you really know where your culture is? Do you, as a team in this room, will you over the next 3 days figure out where that culture is? Will you be open and candid enough? Do you know where the culture is with your own organization? Do you have enough feedback from the people that work for you? Are you listening to them? Are you gauging with them how they feel about it? But, you know, when you think about transform, somebody used definitions, I think Dave did earlier, and, you know, when I went and looked at transform, the definition was defined as you're changing in character, you're changing the structure, you're changing the condition, the appearance, or the function, or all five. So transform doesn't look like it did yesterday. It doesn't look like it looks today. It's a continual change to make it something better. So if change is the only constant, you really got to lead it, you got to live it, and you got to love it. As leaders of transformational change, you may have already figured this out, but there's one of those processes on that last chart that I showed you that's most important. And the most important one is the one that you're working on over the next 3 days, and one that you'll have to decide as a team, how do we mobilize this commitment over this entire headstrong organization when we go back? So I think that's something you got to really work on. Because at the end of the day, look, change is driven by a network of relevant and committed individuals who buy in. 45 of you in the room. If only 42 of you buy in, the 3 are going to do a lot of damage. A lot of damage. If 45 of you buy in, you can't go back to your teams and only get 22 teams to buy in. If you guys really want to change and shape your future, 45 have got to buy in here and 45 teams have got to buy in there. You've got to have a way to drive it, and you've got to measure it, and you've got to make it last. The first thing I've done for myself, every business I've gone into, is I've sat down and I've put together a 100-day plan. Now I interview people for a couple of weeks, and then I'm able to gather enough data that I can form and write down. I write it down for myself, a 100-day plan. Why a 100-day plan, Randy? Well, my view is, and you heard Obama talk about a 100-day plan, but my view of a 100-day plan is that if you don't do something in the first 100 days to significantly change, mold, shape, deliver, and transform that business, you're just another suit. They just see you as overhead. And I think what you guys got to think about as you go away from here, what are you going to do in the next 100 days? If you're really going to make some changes, if you want to move yourself to the next level, what are you going to do in the next 100 days?